Okay, this video is about solving two-step equations. Two-step equations are when it's not just simply the variable plus something or the variable divided by something, but there's more than one operation going on at one time. We're going to have to do more than one operation to get the variable by itself. Now, the way I explain this is think of x as being a guy throwing a party. So X is some guy. Okay? Now, everybody has friends, and they have different levels of friends. And these guys that are right beside him, that they're hanging tight, the coefficient that's multiplied times the variable, these are his BFFs. These are the guys that are there for him no matter what. These guys over here, they're what we call Facebook friends. You know, those friends that, they're there, and you're friends with them, but they don't hang out all the time, right? So, this guy, X, he's having a party. At the end of the night, when the party's over and everyone's going home, who's going to leave first? Who is going to get out first? Well, the Facebook friends, right? His BFFs, they're going to hang out. They're going to help him clean up. They'll eventually leave, but they're going to stay around for a little while longer. The Facebook friends, on the other hand, they're the first ones out the door. So, when we're solving an equation, the Facebook friends are the first ones we get rid of. Think of it like this. You're going to work away from X and then get closer to it. You're going to get rid of the things that are away from X first. Basically, we're undoing the equation. Okay? We're undoing it. So let's look at this example. Same one we just looked at. We're solving for X. That's what we're solving for. This X right here. And what's over there with X we've got to get rid of? Well, there's a 3 that's right beside him, and there's a 4 over here that's a little ways away. Who are we going to get rid of first? The Facebook friend, the 4. Okay, now the 4 is being subtracted from X, so what's the inverse of that? That's add 4, so what are we going to do on both sides? We're going to add 4. Now, negative 4, positive 4, that makes a 0 pair, so they cancel out. What's left on this side? 3x. What do we have over here? 5 plus 4 is 9. Okay, we're still solving for X. We still have to get him by himself. What's over there with him? Well, he has a 3. 3 times X. Since it's multiply, what's the inverse of that? Well, the inverse is divide. So we're going to divide by 3. If we do it to one side, got to do it to the other. 3 divided by 3, remember that's 1. 1 times X would just be X, so we say they cancel. So X is 9 divided by 3, 3. So our answer, or solution to this equation, is 3. Okay? Now let's look at this one. Oh, dreaded decimals. But you know what? Decimals aren't hard to deal with. We just have to use our calculator, or our brain's a little harder. Okay, in this case, what are we solving for? Well, once again, here's our variable. We're solving for y. What is on that side of the equation we have to get rid of? Or this is 1.2 right beside him. But then over here we have this 5.7. Those are the Facebook friends. We're going to get rid of them first. So, what's 5.7 doing to y? Well, it's being subtracted. What is the inverse operation to subtraction? Well, the inverse is add. So we're going to add 5.7. Okay, if we do it to one side, we have to do it to the other. Now remember, when you add decimals, line them up. 5.7, negative 5.7, and positive 5.7 make a 0 pair. They cancel out. What are we left with on this side? 1.2y. What are we left with on this side? Well, we've got to do the adding. Okay, so 5 and 7 is 12. So I'm going to bring my 2 down, carry my 1, bring my decimal down, 5, 6, 7. So that's 7.2. Okay? Now I need to divide. Oh, well, let's talk about what we're doing. We're still solving for y. Y is multiplied times 1.2. What's the inverse of multiply? Well, the inverse of multiply is divide. So we're going to have to, if we do it to one side, we got to do it to the other. Now, what is 1.2 divided by 1.2? Well, that's 1. And what is 1 times y? Well, that's y. So what we say is the 1.2 cancels itself, right? We say that they cancel, but what's really going on is 1.2 divided by 1.2 is 1, and 1 times y is y. Now, what about 7.2 divided by 1.2? Well, even I can't do that in my head, so I'm going to bust out my calculator. Just so happens, the calculator I'm using today is my iPod. So 7.2 divided by 1.2 equals 6. So, what is y going to be? Well, y is 6. And that's the solution to our equation. We could check this by putting it back in the equation, but due to time, I'm just going to go ahead and go on. Trust me, it's right. All right, let's look at this one. What are we solving for in this problem? Well, we're going to be solving for n. N is our variable in this problem. Now, what's over there on that side of the equation with n that we have to get rid of so we can get n by itself? Well, we've got a 2 and we've got a 7. Which one is closer to n? Well, the 7's closer. So which one are we going to get rid of first? That's right, the 2. Remember, we're working, start away, work closer to. What is 2 doing to n? Well, 2 is being added to n, so let's subtract it. Because subtract is the inverse operation of add. If we do it to one side, we've got to do it to the other. 2 and minus 2, those cancel. So we have n divided by 7 on this side. And then 2 minus 2 gives me 0. Can that be okay? Yes. We can get 0 there. That's perfectly fine. We just have to make sure we write it down. If we don't write down a 0, we have nothing over there and we've messed up. Okay, now we're still solving for n. It's divided by 7. The inverse of divide is multiply, so we're going to multiply by 7. If we do it to one side, got to do it to the other. These 7s are going to cancel because 7 divided by 7 is 1. 1 times n is n. So we have n left over here, and over here, what is 0 times 7? Well, that's 0. Can 0 be the answer? Yes, 0 can be the answer. 0 is a number. We can have nothing. It's possible. Okay, let's move on to the next problem. All right, so once again, we are solving for x in this case. What's on the same side of the equation that we have to get rid of? Well, we have to get rid of 7. We have to get rid of negative 4. Which one is furthest away? What's the Facebook friend here? Well, the Facebook friend here is negative 4. Now, this is one of the ones that I said was sort of an exception to the rule. If we look at it this way and we say, okay, negative 4 plus, it's being added to x, inverse would be subtract. A lot of people are going to want to just minus 4. But remember, it's minus negative 4. What is minus a negative? Well, that's add. So technically, we could say adding 4 gets rid of it. And it does. But if we do it to one side, we got to do it to the other. Why does adding 4 get rid of that negative 4 when it's being added to x? Well, because it's a negative. The inverse of negative 4 is positive 4. So adding 4 to a negative 4 makes it 0 or cancels it out. What do we have left on this side? 7x. So we bring it straight down. What's 3 plus 4? Well, that's 7. Now, what's still over here with x that we still have to get rid of? This 7, right? How are we going to get rid of that 7? Well, they're multiplied, so the inverse would be to divide. If we do it to one side, we've got to do it to the other. What's 7 divided by 7? Well, that's 1. 1 times x would just be x, so we say it cancels. Over here, what's 7 divided by 7? This is where a lot of people want to say, oh, well, they cancel and it's 0. But no, remember, what is 7 divided by 7? That's 1. So x is 1. The solution to this problem or this equation is 1. All right, let's look at this one. This is another one that's a little bit of an exception to the rule. Okay, we have x. If we try to solve for x, what's over on that same side of the equation we've got to get rid of? Well, we've got this 2 that's right beside it and this 6. Which one are we going to get rid of first? The one that's further away, the 6. Now, what is the 6 doing with the x? Well, look, they're subtracted, right? Here's the problem. If I add 6 over here, what is 6 plus 6? It's not 0, is it? 6 plus 6 is 12. It wouldn't cancel. What is the opposite of 6? Well, that would be negative 6. So I'd actually have to add a negative 6 or just subtract a 6 to get rid of that 6. This is one of the things that kind of throws us off a little bit. But just remember, they have to cancel out. Even though you're trying to do inverse operations, if they don't cancel, it doesn't help anything. So subtract 6 from 6 to make that go away. But remember, if we do it to one side, we have to do it to the other. And when we say side, we mean side of the equal sign. Okay, so those 6's cancel. What are we left with over here? Now see, here's where another place people will make mistakes. People want to say, oh, we're left with 2x. But you know what? This negative sign, that guy right there, he goes with that 2x. So this is actually negative 2x. We have to bring the sign down with it. If it was a positive, if it was a plus sign right there, we wouldn't have to put plus because we know if there's not a sign, it's a positive. On this side, 10 minus 6 gives us 4. Okay, we haven't finished yet because we still are not finished solving for x. On this side, x is still with negative 2. What are they doing together? They're multiplying. So how do we get rid of it? We divide. Make sure to divide by the negative because a negative divided by a positive would leave you with the negative. If we do it to one side, gotta do it to the other. Negative 2 divided by negative 2, well, that gives us 1, but 1 times x is just x, so we say they cancel. 4 divided by negative 2 gives me negative 2. So the solution to that equation is x equals negative 2.